Yep. Yep. Yes. Yep.
What is up, Bitcoiners? It's your boy CK, and I just had a great conversation with Anant Tapadia of Hexa Wallet. Hexa Wallet is a full-featured, non-custodial Bitcoin ecosystem and just amazing interface for people, both advanced and beginners, to start using Bitcoin and interacting with the Bitcoin network. I think you all will be super impressed with everything that Anant and his team have built into the Hexa wallet. And I think you guys are going to be pretty darn motivated to check it out. They have a ton of amazing features already built in that are some of the most well thought out features available. And they're bringing in more. They're bringing in Lightning. They're bringing in hardware wallet support. They're bringing in so many things that Bitcoiners wish were already in their mobile wallets. So y'all are going to be super impressed with what Anant and his team are building. And I think you're going to be impressed with this podcast. So without further ado, let's just get right into it.
Yep. Yep. Yes. Yep.
Bitcoiners, I'm sitting across from a friend and a builder in the space, Anant Tapadia. So Anant, we met for the first time in Dallas. I think it was the 2019 BitBlock boom. And it was at the beginning when you were building, really the ultimate Bitcoin mobile wallet. And now, we're sitting across. The mobile wallet is finally, been pushed out, the 2.0 version of the Hexa wallet. And I'm really excited to talk to you about Bitcoin, talk to you about Bitcoin users, and talk to you about like what went into this very, very feature-rich wallet that you and your team have built.
Absolutely. Thanks, CK. Nice to talk to you. Yes, we met at BitBlock Boom, and at that time, Hexa was an idea. Hexa was an idea of that, when you talk to your friends and family, and we've all come across this, when you talk to your friends and family, the exact, points of friction that they go through, how to resolve them. And since we know this is like a programmable money space, and it's like borderless and permissionless, you can do a lot with wallet. So that was the initial idea. There were some initial thoughts that we wanted to share with the community, get their feedback. So that was BitBlock Boom. It was amazing. We got some really good feedback, onboarded a couple of really awesome advisors like Matt and others. So that is where the journey started. And now we have Hexa 2.0. So Hexa 2.0, just to be clear, Hexa 2.0 is the latest avatar of the app. And it is 1.0 was completely in beta. We have been testing and talking to the users and getting a lot of feedback, doing a lot of improvements. But Hexa 2.0 is the real wallet out there now. So that's the journey in short.
Awesome. Well, we're going to dive a lot more into the wallet, but I would love to just talk to you about Bitcoin these days. Obviously, with 2020 happening and a lot more kind of global friction, the case for why Bitcoin has never been, more clear. I'm kind of curious, we met before any of this happened. How has the recent events like shaped your view on Bitcoin? And, obviously your product is ultimately a product that is seeking to help people actually access the network and the currency. So sending it back to you.
Yeah, I think when we met in 2019, I would have given Bitcoin as 10% success chance, but now it's way beyond 50%. I would say, even if I'm being conservative. So much has changed, especially post COVID and post lockdowns and stuff like that. It's just amazing. Halving was there. That's true, but one of the first thing was Paul Tudor Jones, right? And the way he wrote about Bitcoin. I think he was one of the first to, appreciate what Bitcoin really does and why you should invest in it and what's the value of it. And after that, it has been like, Saylor and Elon, and then all kinds of Wall Street people and all kinds of people who understand the macro conditions. It's at the end of it, it's a macro product. Bitcoin is a macro product. It's not about a specific country. It's not about a specific economy. It's not about a specific industry. So people who understand macro properly have really, most of them, Druckenmiller, Bill Miller. These guys have really kind of laid out the case very properly out there. So that was the biggest thing that happened for me initially. And then there were a lot of people still holding back. Okay, you know what? There's still this environmental concern. There's this still, you know, China controlling Bitcoin and stuff. And one by one, we are actually, you know, surprisingly able to kill a lot of FUD. You know, the one we are talking about, China controls Bitcoin, right? That was one thing I thought we'll never get away from it. China is full of natural resources. Mining is really convenient there. A lot of ASICs are already, you know, established over there. So that was one FUD I thought we'll never get rid of. But China really helped us out there by banning mining, and we have seen how the mining hash rate went down, but it just, you know, came back up again like nothing had happened.
Yeah, I mean, it really is quite amazing. You know, the fallout of China completely vanquishing their mining industry was, you know, 2 weeks of very slow blocks and higher fees. And after that, you know, after the hash rate just kind of started like climbing its way back. And now here we are almost back at all-time high, which is, you know, I'm sure it's a combination of new machines getting plugged in because there were a lot of orders, you know, from the beginning of 2019 and stuff like that. But, you know, I'm sure a lot of it too is just like those machines that were in China, you know, getting transported somewhere else where they could mine and getting reestablished. I know like Kazakhstan was a big one. I know the Ukraine and Russia are both, you know, well suited per se for mining. So, you know, I think it is just a massive testament. One, I guess it kills the China controls Bitcoin narrative, but two, it just shows like how resilient the system is.
Yeah. Absolute resiliency is in two pieces, right? Like, for example, the protocol is resilient. So half of the network, at least 40% of the network, like just went away almost overnight. But what? Nothing happened. The blocks are still being produced, maybe slowly, but they were still being produced. So that shows the resiliency of the network. And you have a difficulty adjustment, and everything is back to normal. So that's the resiliency of the, you know, protocol. And when you look at the resiliency of the mining community, then that is kind of you know, you can see that because of the rebound in the hash rate, right? So they are self-driven in terms of, you know, they want to make profits and they are rational actors, and that game theory played out perfectly well. They just moved jurisdictions, and we are back at all-time high hash rates.
Yeah, I mean, and talking about the resiliency of Bitcoin miners, the incentives worked perfectly too, because guess what happened? As soon as China banned mining, it became extremely lucrative to have a mining machine plugged into the wall. So every single person who is mining all of a sudden started making a lot more, and they haven't stopped, even with the hash rate kind of coming back. So, you know, again, the incentives worked absolutely perfectly, and it just makes you feel really good about Bitcoin in this crazy clown world that we find ourselves in.
Absolutely. So it's one thing to actually theorize it. So we have been, you know, discussing a lot of ifs and buts and, you know, scenarios. What if China bans Bitcoin? What if this happens? What if overnight, you know, ban happens? What if this happens, that happens? But actually, a lot of them have been, you know, played out, and the game theory has played out the way, you know, we thought. So that is just amazing. It's just like almost unbelievable.
Since we've met in 2019, obviously the world has gone crazy. China has officially banned Bitcoin, and we've seen that test, but we've also conquered another feat, which is legal tender in a country with El Salvador. So, you know, you didn't mention that, and of course we have to talk about it.
Absolutely. How could I miss that? So that was huge. Most importantly, not because the country adopting it as a reserve currency. So this is where I don't think anyone would have thought that a country would be using it as a medium of exchange, using the Lightning Network. That's just like, so this is one of the things you throw the, you know, there's a good thing out there when people see it differently. None of the Bitcoiners in 2019 would have thought that a country would be using it as a medium of exchange. And there you go. The first country to actually adopt it is using it as a medium of exchange, not just as a reserve currency. So extremely bullish, extremely positive. And more people are coming on this side of Bitcoin. So first of all, there's no one who hasn't heard about Bitcoin. So that's the first thing, right? In 2019, 5 out of 10 people, if you speak them, they wouldn't have heard of Bitcoin. So that has changed massively. And out of those 10 people, if there was like only one guy who really, was on the Bitcoin side or liked Bitcoin, maybe that has gone to 3. So that's a massive improvement as well. So yes, things have changed drastically. What we now need to see is how we can actually, so the reason we are in Bitcoin is because we think it's good for the society, right? It's the sound money aspect of it, or self-responsibility aspect of it, and what it inculcates and stuff like that. No, that is what we need to see. What we don't want to see is a lot of billionaires and a lot of hedge funds and all holding Bitcoins in their asset allocation and stuff like that, and that is the end of story. That doesn't help society as much. So that is what we need to really see, and I'm hoping that in the next few years we'll see some real life-changing stories and life-changing people really coming out and saying how it helped them, especially in places like El Salvador, India, Latam, and stuff like that.
Oh, I think we're going to see so much. And, the cover of the Bitcoin magazine El Salvador edition has the face of Adrian, who is the man who used Bitcoin in El Zonte during kind of like the early days to save up for dental surgery and getting new dentures. And
Right.
it's just like such a powerful image on the cover, and then we tell the story on the inside. But there's so many more of those stories. I think Alex Gladstein has done an absolutely incredible job
Absolutely.
unearthing a lot of those stories and doing some really good firsthand journalism from across the world. So recommend the Bitcoiners out there subscribe to the new print Bitcoin magazine and get the El Salvador edition. And go to bitcoinmagazine.com, look up Alex Gladstein, read all of his amazing, parts in his column with us. So a lot of great stuff there with the human side of Bitcoin. And I think this is a good place to transition to your wallet, right? So
Yes.
Hexa 2.0, finally ready for kind of the mainstream. And the wallet has a lot of features that other wallets don't have. There's a really strong focus on giving full-fledged features in the UI that is palatable and usable to someone who is not a hardcore Bitcoiner. Can you talk a little bit about maybe before even getting into the specific features, why do you think that this is an area that you need to address, and why is that such an important part of the Bitcoin story in general?
Absolutely. So a lot of people are contributing to Bitcoin in different ways, right? Once kind of we established that this is the space we want to work in, the best place we could add value, which was really our forte, is the product space. We come from a product space. We know how products work and what really makes sense as a package, right? So that is where we come from, and that is why wallet was a natural space for us to look at the UX, what does a product really mean for the user? Why does the user use a product? And those kind of questions we have been looking at it for probably for years before we started Hexa. So that was the natural space, and at the end of it, wallet is the face of Bitcoin, right? When a user interacts with Bitcoin, unless you're running a node or you're mining, absolutely those are use cases as well. But for a normal user, for a new coiner or a pre-coiner, wallet is the touch point for the blockchain or for Bitcoin. So that is, I think, a space which still has a lot of opportunities, but that's where I think we are trying to make our mark and trying to make sure that a lot more people do self-custody rather than just leave it at Coinbase. So that's the backdrop, how we when we started working on Hexa.
Okay, so let's talk about some of the features on the app and why those features. I remember when I first got my hands on it, one of the coolest feature, and it doesn't seem like it's that big of a deal, is the fact that you make testnet very accessible, right? And you have a little testnet wallet right in there. And for beginners, that could be a really big deal.
Yeah, absolutely. So again, if you really think about a person you've spoken to recently who is not really a Bitcoiner, maybe they're an artist and they are doing their own stuff and they're happy with it, but they do understand, they trust you, or they kind of are interested in Bitcoin for some reason. and they get it from a standpoint of why it is important, but they don't really understand the technicalities of it, right? And they don't want to, and they don't have to. That is for us builders to build. So when you talk to them, one of the first things that they come across is, how do we use Bitcoin? And that is where, if you download Hexa, one of the first things you see is a preloaded test account. We call them accounts, not wallets, so that it's like a easier term to deal with. When people have a banking app, they have different accounts within it. So that's why we are calling those stacks of UTXOs or whatever as accounts. Test account is the first thing they look at, and it is pre-filled in, right? So it has 10,000 sats. You can play around with it. You can actually send them to your friends and family. You can send them to another Hexa wallet or any wallet which looks at has testnet support. What that does is, when you are trying to use it, it pops up useful messages on the way. So when you go to send, it will say, it will talk about what's the Bitcoin address. When you try to receive it, it will talk about probably what are the number of confirmations and what does that mean. So that really helps people get their hands dirty without really spending a penny. So that has been really useful. It's not a mock account, it's a real account. So sometimes confirmations come in very quickly, sometimes they take a little bit of time, and the user really understands what it means, what two confirmations mean, and so on. So that's the test account, right? That's the first thing people start using. And when they're happy with it, they don't really need to go away and write the 24 words down and then think about putting it in the right place. They haven't even bought $10. Why do you want them to write 24 words down? They won't, right? So one of the first thing the wallet does is automatically backs up on your cloud. So if you are on iCloud or Google Drive, it backs up your wallet on your cloud. So you don't really need to do anything. It encrypts it and backs it up. So essentially, you have a wallet which is backed up at a basic level, and you can start using the test account. And then when you get interested, you think about, okay, how do I get my hands on my first Bitcoin? And that is where we have integrated with a few exchanges right from within the wallet. What we don't want is for them to go to Coinbase, right, to buy Bitcoin, and then they get completely overwhelmed with the graphs and the number of coins out there, and they start looking for what is cheaper, and then they get lost in the shitcoin casino. So that's why we have integrated it right within the wallet. So you have a buy button, you just go through a few steps, and you have non-custodially bought Bitcoin within your Hexa wallet, right? So that's typically the next thing that a user does. So when you do that, you not only get sats in your account, you get it in a way that you can maintain them differently. So there are different accounts like checking accounts and savings account. And if you are buying a huge amount, or if you are transferring a huge amount, you might keep it in your savings account and not the checking account. Savings account is a multi-sig account. So these are the first few things a new coiner does, which really gives them comfort that one, they understand Bitcoin a little bit, and second thing is it is safe to some extent. So that is pretty important when it comes to getting a new coiner on board.
Yep. Yes.
Yo, what is going on, plebs? We're going to take a break from our programming to tell you about the resurrection of our print magazine, starting with the El Salvador issue. Starting this fall, Bitcoin Magazine will be available on newsstands nationwide and at retail stores such as Barnes and Noble. Don't want to get off your couch, though? No problem. You can also go to store.bitcoinmagazine.com. So skip the line and get each issue shipped directly to your front door with our annual subscription. I'm talking 4 issues a year that contain exclusive interviews and profiles with leading Bitcoiners, actionable insights on the state of the market, breaking news and cultural trends, along with powerful photos and artwork from the best artists in the world. Subscribe today and get 21% off using code podcast at checkout. That's PODCAST podcast at checkout.
Yep. Yes.
So I guess again, a lot of the features are very like advanced, right? Like you make it look easy. You call it accounts. Again, the UX is like feels very much like a fintech or a neobank type of a situation, but obviously it's non-custodial. You're using Tor, you're using a lot of these like Bitcoin maximalist best practices per se. But I guess my question is, let's talk a little bit more about like those deeper features. You mentioned multi-sig for the savings account. Like, how does that work? And I know that you have a scheme that's a little bit more advanced than just writing down seed words and having it so that you use Shamir secret sharing to kind of break up shards and share it amongst other Hexa users or other Hexa wallets. Like, can you talk a little bit about the more advanced features that some of the Bitcoiners listening to this might be intrigued by?
Absolutely. So once the user has kind of gone through the steps we talked about, and they get more interested in, making sure that their backup is slightly more resilient and more secure, what we have is we have 3 levels of backup. Again, something that other wallets don't have. The key thing here to understand is on day one, a pre-coiner is not going to do everything that you want them to do. They're not going to back it up to level 3 and run a node and turn on Tor at the same time. So you want them to grow as they learn, and you want them to have the wallet support them on the journey, right? So once you have, let's say, we have bought a few thousand pounds worth of Bitcoin in your wallet, you might want to think about the backup. Now, what you would do is you would go from backup level 1, which is the automated cloud backup, to level 2 backup. And then eventually you might even go to level 3 backup. What's a level 2 backup? It's a 2 of 3 Shamir secret sharing based scheme. And level 3 is a 3 of 5 Shamir scheme, right? So what that means is in level 2, you need 2 of 3 recovery keys, not, so there's a resiliency in terms of even if you lose 1 key, you still have 2 keys to completely restore your wallet. If you're going to want to go beyond that, you have level 3, which is 3 of 5. So basically that means you have 2 keys that you can afford to lose, but your wallet is still secure. The thing with backup is you don't use backups every day, right? You don't restore your wallet every day. You would restore a wallet probably once in a year or once in maybe multiple years. So it's very important that whatever your backup scheme is, the resiliency is built into it. You can't have a backup scheme with a single point of failure. What Shamir secret sharing does is it gives you that optionality. And because Shamir secret sharing is completely off chain, right? Because the backup and the sharding of the seed is completely off chain, you can actually maintain the UTXOs as they are, and at the same time change your backup scheme. What do I mean by that? So let's say I'm keeping 5 accounts, 5 separate accounts on my wallet just because I want to keep the UTXOs segregated. One is a checking account, one is a friends and family account, one is a colleagues account, and one is a private account or whatever it is. Now, when I want to go from level 1 backup to level 2 backup, it's not like a multi-sig going from one multi-sig to another multi-sig, because what would happen in that case is you will have to move all the UTXOs together. And when you move all the UTXOs together, they get connected. So your privacy is completely gone for a toss. What happens in Shamir secret sharing is whatever your UTXOs are, they remain as they are. If you have tagged them, if you have put them in an account or something, they completely remain as they are. The privacy, there's no leak of privacy. And at the same time, you go from level 1 backup to level 2 backup and so on. So that's pretty important. Again, none of this is kind of explicitly the user has to do anything about it, but it is something that the UX hides up. You just go from level 1 to level 2 by scanning 2 more QR codes, and then level 2 to level 3 by scanning 2 more QR codes, and that's it. All the magic happens in the background, and the user is at a better place. So that's the backup piece.
So, I mean, from a backup perspective, I want to dive into a couple things, and I guess we can talk about multi-sig. But from a backup perspective,
yes,
what's your problem with seed words? Like you mentioned, like single point of failure is bad, and you obviously demonstrated some of the benefits of Shamir. But like, why do you choose to completely move in a different direction there when that's kind of like an industry standard?
Yeah, absolutely. So there are people who use seed words, and seed words are before. In fact, if you really see seed words, 24 word seed words or 12 word seed words was a major improvement, right? Before that, it was you could just imagine in terms of how do you back up the wallet. You will have to back it up in a .dat file every single time you do a transaction and all that. So the BIP supporting the hierarchical domestic wallet and the mnemonic seed is amazing, right? So definitely they are they are suitable for a lot of use cases and a lot of hardcore Bitcoiners. When I started off, obviously that's the way I backed up my wallet. But if you really look at people who are not really hardcore Bitcoiners, they are doing their own stuff. They might not even learn about this very well. This really gives you a good trade-off in terms of security guarantees. So what it does is it increases the resiliency, and at the same time, it doesn't really mean that you have to custody something with someone. It is completely still with you, but instead of having one place and one set of words, it gives you 3 QR codes or 5 QR codes. So for a lot of people, honestly, not for everyone, but for a lot of people, this is a strictly a better security scheme than writing down seed words. For a lot of people, not for everyone. And what it also does is, because these QR codes, you might want to store these QR codes with, let's say you have stored it with one of your devices that you just keep at home, maybe an iPad, and you just keep it secure. And one you have printed it out on a PDF file and kept it somewhere else, and one you have shared with your mom. So what it also does is it maintains the health of the backup. So it's not that 2 years down the line when you try to recover it, you realize, oh, you know what, my iPad is no longer charging, and my mom has just lost the recovery key, and I don't know where I've kept the QR code. It doesn't let you do that. Periodically, it actually, if it's something which is like a digital thing, it actually pings it and checks it whether the QR code or the recovery key is live or not. If the recovery key is live, it knows that everything is fine. But if it is not, it will warn you. It will tell you that something is wrong with this recovery key. Why don't you do something about it? Maybe send it again, or maybe send it to someone else. So what that means is your backup is it's not stale. It's not that you have to go and check it every time. It tells you the health of your backup on the wallet itself. So that's pretty powerful as well.
So I guess the last thing on this, and then we can move away, but tell me a little bit about
Sure.
like interoperability per se. Like, is this a standard that you're trying to open up for other wallets to support as well? Or is this kind of something, that just more or less fits within the Hexa ecosystem?
See, Shamir secret sharing has been around for way longer than Bitcoin multisig or anything like that. So what we have done, there is nothing cryptographically different or new that we have tried to do. We have tried to use what is existing out there, available and proven, right? And the code is also open. So if someone wants to look at the code, and I think there are a few companies who have looked at it. For example, there is Slip. There's a Slip which the Trezor guys have done, which also works on a similar concept of Shamir secret sharing. So this concept has been out there. The code is open, and to make it interoperable is definitely something we would love to do if other wallets are interested. And even you don't even need a wallet if you really if you really want. You can look at the code. You can build that piece of code yourself, which combines the recovery keys completely independent of Hexa and gives you the seed. So that can be done as well. So yeah, in that way, it is completely open.
Makes sense. That's the beauty of open source, right? Anyone can make it interoperable if they just build something
Absolutely.
exactly the same. So I mean, and hopefully, as Hexa has tremendous success, that is going to push the network effects for these features. You have a lot of other cool features. Let's talk about the multi-sig. How does the multi-sig savings account work on the wallet?
So multi-sig savings account honestly is it's just a 2 of 3 multi-sig, right? And it is pretty similar to the way Green Wallet used to work. That one of the keys is on the on your phone, the other key is on one key is on the server, and the third key is completely kept away. The interesting thing we have done, I think it's quite innovative from a UX standpoint, is the third key that you would have otherwise had to mail yourself or store it separately. We have embedded that in your recovery keys, so you don't have to do anything extra, right? Otherwise, you would have to have your backups done separately and your third key of the savings account, stored separately. That is just not a good idea from a UX point of view. So the QR code, what we call recovery key, when you actually use it, it has both the things built in. It has a part of the the key for the savings account plus your primary account, part of primary account as well, or the wallet as well. So that's a UX shortcut or UX opportunity that we have utilized. But savings account fundamentally is a 2 of 3 multisig. When you want to send using the savings account, you have to provide a 2FA from a Google Authenticator or something. We don't support SMS, and we don't take your email addresses, no personal information whatsoever. So you provided a 2FA code from your authenticator app, and the server knows that this is the right code, and it gives you the second signature. If the server goes down, all you have to do, and for example, we are not there anymore, suddenly overnight, you can use the recovery key and the part of basically which is the third signature, and use that to get your funds out of savings account as well. So that's the beauty of savings account.
I really like it. Again, like I'm not a developer or security person, so I'm not in position to really push back super hard on the security model, but I like how effectively you use cryptography and the backup in your server to kind of create a much better than single sig on a mobile wallet situation, right? So I guess in terms of if you were to lose your device, right? Theoretically, what you do is you use your recovery scheme to recover the wallet, and then from there you've recovered the wallet, and then you can ping the server again, and you're good. With the backup still being embedded within the Shamir secret sharing backup. So it sounds like it is pretty resilient. Can you talk about best practice? Sorry, go for it.
No, I just wanted to add that security, because we were trying something new in terms of within the Bitcoin wallet space. So there are a lot of seedless wallets out there. But within the Bitcoin space, we wanted to do it in a very non-custodial way and without taking any personal information. We in fact ourselves had security concerns. So we did do whatever we could do in terms of opening it up for the community, getting feedback from them, getting Evan involved. So Evan is in the team. He's a security researcher by profession, and getting it reviewed externally as well. And a lot of stuff we have done. We have even presented. We were actually invited to present it in DEF CON, which is the biggest hacker conference in the world and stuff like that. So we have tried to take all the steps that we could to make sure that the security is, if we are talking about that the backup is secure, we can't really not take it seriously, right? So that's something definitely we have looked at it very seriously, and that's the backup scheme within Hexa. There are a lot of stuff we have written on it, so everyone can go and read our Medium articles and reach out to us, ask questions, make suggestions and stuff like that.
So can you tell me, I think the Bitcoiner best practices is generally to use a secure signing device, right? So like a Trezor, Ledger, Cold Card, Foundation devices, whatever it is, it's like a dedicated secure signing device that's completely offline.
Absolutely.
Do you see that being a part of what Hexa offers at some point, I guess how would you rate let's just call it multi-sig with hardware wallets versus the 2 of 3 situation that you have on the wallet, on the Hexa wallet right now, using
Yeah.
mobile devices and your server and a backup.
So honestly, real multisig is when it is done across platforms. If you're doing a multisig, it is still useful the way multisig we have done the multisig in Hexa. It is still useful. It has additional security built on top of the checking account. But the real multisig is when it can be done across platforms. So one is Hexa wallet, maybe one is a server, and one is a Trezor device or Ledger or something like that. So that is definitely something we are looking at, and that will be another kind of highly secure account, maybe a vault or something that we will introduce, which people can simply add if they want that kind of security. Definitely something we are working on.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, that would be such a cool product set, right? Is like being able to tie in a hardware wallet and feel like you are doing it all yourself. I think that's really powerful. Let's talk about
the
again.
journey
You have,
again. It's about sorry to cut you off, but see, it's again about the journey. Initially, people are not really looking into 2FA multisig. They just want a checking account. They have $100. They want to play with it. Then they realize, what, their X sats have become $5,000 suddenly. So they use the savings account. Right now, our user base and people who are using Hexa are not storing, and we don't recommend that they store, their life savings on it. But soon that will happen. Your whatever amount you have saved in sats will become your life savings, or it will become 90% of your life savings. Very very high percentage, just because of number of technology. Now that is why we want to keep improving the wallet. We want to introduce vaults. We want to introduce hardware wallet support, PSBT support, and that would probably coincide with our users actually going down the journey. So that's the way we think about different accounts within Excel.
I like it a lot. Again, I feel like you have a very holistic view to how you're introducing features. Another feature is obviously Lightning. I know that Folger Ventures is working with you all, and they funded you all, and they're all about Lightning. So I'm sure that's something that's like very much on the horizon. Tell me a little bit more about the future of spending Bitcoin with the wallet and enabling kind of Lightning.
Yes, Lightning is definitely something which is coming in pretty quick, pretty soon. Top of the priority in terms of the backlog. In fact, we have started working on it already. We are speaking to the Square Crypto team and the Lightning Labs team, and in fact, even talking to other wallets out there and looking at how they have implemented it. So I think we are in a good space right now to start. In terms of the Lightning network has also grown. In 2019, Lightning network, the condition of Lightning network was very different from what it is now. So probably that really gives us confidence that we can implement Lightning network in a user-friendly way. In 2019, we did not want to try it out, or 2020, early 20, we did not want to go for it because the UX would suffer. But that's not the case anymore, right? So we are all quite keen to get it on Hexa, and your spending account will essentially be powered by Lightning. So you don't really need a Lightning wallet and a Bitcoin wallet. In fact, you don't really need to be able to differentiate between them. It will just be a spending account powered by Lightning. So Lightning is a technology. You don't have to worry about how it works. So that's how we are we are looking at it and how we are approaching it, and we'll make sure that we keep the standard, the UX standard, as high as we have done with other features for Lightning as well.
So I want to learn a little bit more about this. Like, obviously, you're going to make the spending account powered by Lightning. A wallet that has burst onto the scene is the Moon wallet because of their UX, and they effectively have one balance, and then it's interoperable Lightning to or on chain. Is that something like similar to a UX that you're going for, or is it strictly just going to be a Lightning wallet that spends only to Lightning, and people don't necessarily they can spend from a different wallet if they want to use on chain? Tell me about how that works.
No, definitely it's going to be a single balance. So when the user is using it, their checking account is something, you can call it checking account or spending account, but their checking account is something where they keep pocket change and they want to buy coffee with it. they should not have to switch to another account and use that for Lightning and then try to go to another account and then try to do an on-chain payment. Definitely not. We might do that as an intermediate step just to try it out, but our main goal is to have the checking account or spending account powered by Lightning. So it will have a single balance, and it should not matter to the user unless there's an extreme case and there's an edge case. It should not matter to the user whether you're using a Lightning network or base chain. So that's how we are looking at it. Definitely a single balance in that wallet. So the savings account will still be separate. It's a multi-sig, right? So that can't be really mixed up with Lightning, at least as of now. You might have a vault, which is a 5 of 7 multi-sig with Trezor and Ledger and stuff like that. So that's going to be completely different from a checking account, which has single balance across your on-chain and Lightning.
So your perspective here is, people are using Hexa Wallet for their whole Bitcoin stack of use cases. It's their spending wallet. They have effectively a saving account that requires 2FA, and then they'll eventually have a vault that has secure signing devices associated with it. They view and use Bitcoin through their phone as their main device. And that's the Bitcoin stack right there. And they kind of like manage all this stuff on their own. You're providing, the on-ramps for, I'm assuming they're available in several different countries, between Swan and a lot of these other services. So, I mean, it really does feel like you're thinking about it from like an ecosystem perspective, which is really exciting. And it's something that I haven't seen as much in the Bitcoin wallet landscape so far. Maybe I'm incorrect there, but
no, actually you're right. So I won't like to point out any wallet, but a lot of the wallets which started out very early, they had to create solutions of their own, which was not really out there, and they had to build a custom Lightning solution that works only within their wallet. What we don't want to do is have a solution. There are different features. There are features which works just within your wallet and has nothing to do with the network effects. But stuff like Lightning, it's very, very important that you are hooked into the Lightning network that the ecosystem use, rather than trying to create your own custom solution. Because the liquidity that you can provide is always going to be much inferior to the liquid that generally the ecosystem is able to provide. So what we want to do is we want to hook into this whole network of LSPs and people who are providing this service, rather than trying to create a solution that only our wallet supports. It might be great in the short term, but we believe in the long term for Lightning and stuff, it has to be a ecosystem-wide solution.
Yeah. Yes.
Yo, my fellow Bitcoin lovers, have I got something specifically curated for you. The Deep Dive is Bitcoin Magazine's premium markets intelligence newsletter. This isn't some pay group selling buy and sell signals. No, this is a premium Bitcoin analysis led by Dylan LeClaire and his team of analysts. They break down in an easily digestible way what is happening on chain, in the derivatives markets, and in the greater macro backdrop context for Bitcoin. This newsletter turns volatility into a joke. So hit up members.bitcoinmagazine.com and use promo code podcast for 30% off the deep dive. That's members.bitcoinmagazine.com, promo code podcast for 30% off. Divorce your paid group and learn why Bitcoin is the ultimate asset by Dylan and his team. My fellow plebs, the Bitcoin conference is back. Bitcoin 2022, April 6th through the 9th, is the ultimate pilgrimage for the Bitcoin ecosystem. The Bitcoin conference is the biggest event in all of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. We're leveling up and making this bigger and better than ever. I'm talking straight to the moon with the 4-day-long festival in the heart of Miami at the Miami Beach Convention Center. This has something for everyone. Whether you're a high-powered Bitcoin entrepreneur, a core developer, or a Bitcoin newbie, Bitcoin 2022 is the ultimate place for you to be with your people and celebrate and learn about the Bitcoin culture. So make sure to go to b.tc/conference to lock in your official tickets and use promo code Satoshi for 10% off. You want more off? Pay in Bitcoin and you'll receive $100 off general admission and $1,000 off Whale Pass. Those are stackable. So go to b.tc/conference and attend the best conference in Bitcoin history.
Yep. Yes.
I mean, again, I think that's it's really awesome, and I'm excited to kind of go through and dive into Hexa 2.0 now that we've had this conversation again, just because I love the vision in general, and I feel like the features make a lot of sense, right? And a lot of wallets have been getting really big, so I think that there's a massive appetite for kind of like a one-stop shop. And right now, like I feel like even me, like I have just so many things going on in terms of my Bitcoin, how I'm managing my Bitcoin. And not to say that that's a bad thing. It's just, it's something to think about. And a lot of people, they just want a simple solution, and they want it to just work, and they want it to be reliable and safe. And, at least it seems as though that's kind of what you're building towards.
Yeah, absolutely. So even I, I had like 5 wallets on my phone, and having different wallets is fine, because, you might have different wallets for different purposes. One is, multi-sig, and one is lightning, and so on. But honestly, backing them up separately is a big pain. So you would have, you would end up writing, 5 sets of 24 words and stuff like that. So that is one of the major things that you don't have to do with Hexa. If you have different accounts or wallets within the Hexa app, the backup is still one. And in fact, you don't have to touch it. If you add a new account, it just gets backed up automatically. That's a major friction point when it comes to people using Bitcoin. Oh, now I have to download a Lightning wallet. Oh, but I thought I already have Bitcoin. Now I have to download something else. That just isn't really, at least for most people. There will still be people who are like hardcore Bitcoiners and technically savvy and stuff like that, who would end up using multiple wallets for advanced features. But for most of the people, we are building it for pre-coiners and our friends and family who we want to have a very exclusive Bitcoin only experience. So for them, this should be the wallet to go to. And that is where our most important feature comes in, which is the social part of it.
Well, I mean, you can't just leave us with that. You got to tell us a little bit more about the social part. I mean, obviously you can share the backups with people, but tell us a little bit more.
So we have something called friends and family. Now, friends and family is just like your list of contacts within the Hexa app. Now, if I want to add you, CK, and I just want to make make you as a friend or friend and family contact within my wallet, I'll just give you a QR code. You scan that QR code, and boom, we have established a contact within our wallet. So I will see CK as one of the contacts. You will see Anant as one of the contacts. Now, once you have a contact, then our wallets are connected. The wallets can talk to each other in a completely encrypted way, in a completely private way, and send notifications to each other and stuff like that, without the server trying to know what is the phone number of CK and what's the phone number of one. We don't do any of that. It's a kind of a Diffie-Hellman key exchange kind of an encryption, and our wallets are connected. And eventually what happens is it becomes a network of peer-to-peer network of wallets on top of Bitcoin, which is very powerful in itself. Now you have established list of friends and family. Now you can use them for many reasons. One of them, we've already seen, that you can share recovery keys with your trusted contacts, who we call keepers, because they keep your recovery key. And they don't see your balances. They don't know what you're doing. All they can do is help you recover the wallet. Similarly, you can use one of your contacts to create a joint account with them. You send them a joint account request, and when they accept it, maybe they are sitting in Japan and I'm sitting in London, and we can just have a joint account in a few clicks. Then you can probably you can send sats to each other without asking for an address. So next time I have to send you $10, I can just choose you from the contact list and say send sats, and sats will go directly to you without me having to ask for your address. And it even doesn't reuse the address. So every time I send you, it uses a new address. So that's a huge infrastructure piece on its own. every time I send it to you, you are able to give me a new address for the next time and so on and so forth. But that whole protocol of wallets speaking to each other is already there. So that's quite powerful in terms of when we want to onboard our friends and family.
No, I mean, totally. Like, if you want to, like, let's say I have my little brother and I'm trying to get him onto a wallet, now I can help, like, here's the right wallet, and then I can help him. I can be his trusted contact. So if he ever has an issue, at least, I'm part of that scheme to help him out. And it's, again, like, at least having an ecosystem play on your wallet on top of just the wallet itself, I feel like is very intelligent. And you call it the social aspect, but once you start having all these full-fledged features, it turns into like, this is your one-stop shop, and it actually benefits you to like get your friends and family on the same app too, right? Which I think is
Absolutely.
like is like pretty smart from just a like growth perspective.
Yeah, I think it has some kind of network effects built in, if and stickiness built in. Once you start using Hexa and you've backed it up and you're happy with your backup and the bunch of friends you have on there or family you have on there, then there should be no reason to change it really. So that's how we look at it. The most difficult part of the social part was that we wanted to do it without any of your personal information. So there are a lot of wallets out there which do social stuff, but they are mostly custodial, and they do require or they do require your personal information. We didn't want to do any of that. We didn't want to have like a central registry of phone numbers like WhatsApp has or some other wallets have. So that was the most difficult part, but we have been kind of working through it in 1.0, and I think finally we have an awesome output in terms of how that social layer works.
So Anant, let's talk a little bit more about, what's next for Hexa Wallet. Obviously, we talked about Lightning. We talked about multi-sig vaults with hardware wallets. Like, is there anything that we missed? And like, maybe can you even hit us with some timelines in terms of maybe some of those features?
Yeah, I think there are two things I'll talk about. One, I think I think we cannot talk about the future without talking about one of the most a feature we are really looking forward to, which is the Swan Bitcoin integration. So that's an awesome account that you can have on your wallet. And the way it works is you already have a Swan Bitcoin account in your wallet right away. And when you use that account and follow the link through, you can register on Swan Bitcoin. And once you have finished registration there, and you have, let's say you have set up a DCA of $100 or 10,000 sats per week or something like that. Once that crosses a certain threshold, right, and the default threshold is 0.01 Bitcoin. Once it crosses that threshold, automatically you will be, your stack will be transferred from Swan to Hexa wallet in a non-custodial way, right? So you have a non-custodial stack. You don't have to do a thing. Yes, there will be, you will have all the control in terms of giving the permission and making sure, you can delink Hexa at any point in time if you want. But you can start from Hexa, register on Swan Bitcoin, come back to Hexa, and just leave it at that. The DCA keeps happening on the Swan platform, and once it crosses the threshold, you will probably get an email. Your stack has crossed 0.01 Bitcoin. Do you want to transfer it to Hexa like you wanted to? You say yes, and boom, it's in your non-custodial, your self-custody wallet. So that's pretty amazing, and again, something that is very good for new coiners. Again, one of the features which is not out there, and it took us some time, but it's finally there. So it's already live.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, again, like having the auto stacking automatically go to a non-custodial wallet, that's huge, because I've recommended other services, people have auto stacked to that, and they found like, oh wow, I have a pretty big balance. And then sometimes those services, make it difficult to withdraw that balance. So it's definitely important to to have the auto stack built in, and to just have it going straight to non-custodial in a super user-friendly way that is safe and backed up. It makes a lot of sense.
Absolutely, absolutely. And talking about other features, there's a donation account which I'll not go into the detail of, but that's another pretty cool feature. And we have one of the features which will come out pretty soon is ability to gift someone. So today, problem with gifting sats is you have to first ask the other person to download a wallet and then ask for an address and then send it. That's one way of doing it. That's pretty interactive, and the other way of doing it is if you send them a link or send them some sats, they over a link, they might never accept it, right? So you might not even get it back. So one of the things, while again, when you talk about onboarding new coiners and onboarding people like in your close friend circle and stuff like that, people have used the gifting use case a lot, right? So that's coming next. You just send a link to someone, someone you want to onboard onto Bitcoin, and they click on the link. They might decline it, decline the gift. If they don't accept the gift or just completely ignore it, 7 days down the line, the gift is back in your wallet, or you can pull it back anytime. But if they do accept it, it appears in the wallet as a gift, and they can use it for whatever purpose they want. So that's a very, very neat use case. It's not the most it's quite useful. It's not like technically a big breakthrough or anything like that, but it's very useful in onboarding new users. So that is a feature we are already testing. So probably should be out within a few weeks.
No, it is super useful. I remember in 2019, there was a wallet called Dropit that's no longer in service anymore, but their gifting features over social were super, super useful to just like give out Bitcoin. And if they don't accept it, the link will expire and then you're fine. You have the Bitcoin, nothing happened. But if they accept it, they download the wallet, boom, they have a wallet that's ready to go. And it sounds like, again, the wallet that you're building, there's no custodial aspects to it. Everything is very well thought out and kind of follows a lot of best practices. I know you have some great advisors, so excited personally to jump in. Anant, want to give you a last word, and then let's close this one out. This is a great talk, and I learned a lot about kind of the Hexa ecosystem, which I think is very exciting.
So the journey has just started. We have just started building Hexa. We want to build Hexa for the next 10 years, and there's a lot to do just within the Bitcoin space. So keep following us, keep encouraging us as you guys have been, and your feedback is always welcome. So that is the message I want to close with.
Awesome. Well, hey, to the Bitcoiners out there, go check out Hexa Wallet. I remember I've been checking it out, checking in on it every few months, and I'm really excited about a lot of the things that Anant talked about and the roadmap in general. So I think it seems like one of the most promising wallets out there, and encourage everyone to check it out, give them feedback, do all that good stuff. Go follow them on social media. Anant, are you on Twitter?
Yes, of course. My Twitter handle is Anant_tap. So that's ANANT_TAP. And Hexa Wallet is at Hexa Wallet. So yeah,
awesome.
Do follow us and get in touch.
Yeah, absolutely. So check out the wallet, follow Anant, follow Hexa, follow me at CK_snarks. Go follow Bitcoin Magazine at Bitcoin Magazine. Go find all Bitcoin Magazine stuff and everything that we're doing at bitcoinmagazine.com. And yeah, keep stacking sats and enjoy this price action. Peace.
Yes.